Good morning, students. Welcome back to your chemistry class. Today we'll start new chapter, that is atoms and molecules. This is the third chapter of your chemistry and this is the part 1. So, in this chapter you will study about how small atoms and molecules are. As you know that in the previous chapter you have done about the matter. You know that whatever things present in our surrounding, whichever it is, all things have mass and occupy space. And when a thing has mass and occupy space is called matter. And we know that matter is made up of very small particles. You know that sand is, if you keep some sand, you will see very minute grains are there of the sand. And surprisingly, you know that one small grain, one the tiny grain also have millions of atoms inside. So that's how small atoms are, how tiny atoms are. And in this chapter, you will study so many topics, and this chapter is very interesting and important in the sense that this is the base of your chemistry. If you will understand this chapter well, the chemistry will be easy to you, because how to make formulas, how to write the formula of the compounds, these all things you will cover in this chapter. So be serious while doing this chapter. Read the chapter from your NCERT also and watch video also carefully and try to understand each and every concept. In ancient time, Maharshi Kannad, who was an Indian philosopher, at that time actually philosophers were there, they used to give their philosophy, they used to study a lot about the concept of the things and they imagined. So Maharshi Kannad, who was an Indian philosopher, he said that matter has many millions of tiny particles, and to these tiny particles he gave name as Parmanu. And he told that this Parmanu is indivisible, means it cannot be further divided. In the same era, Pakuda Kakayana elaborated this doctrine and said that these particles normally exist in a combined state form, which gives us various forms of matter. Then around the same era, Democritus and Leucippus suggested that if we go on dividing matter, a stage will come when particles obtained cannot be divided further. He said that matter is divided into tiny particles, but Democritus gave the name atoms, and according to him this atom is indivisible. He said that these are indivisible particles, cannot be further divided. In this chapter, students, we will cover the topics. These are law of chemical combination, law of conservation of mass, law of constant proportion, Dalton's atomic theory, then atoms, symbols of atom, atomic mass, then molecules, then ions, molecules of compounds, molar mass and mole concept. Many conceptual questions, numerical part also is there. Now see what is the law of chemical combination. Antoine R. Lavoisier, he laid the foundation of chemical sciences by establishing two important laws of chemical combination. Number one is law of conservation of mass, and second is law of constant proportion. And these two laws, learn very carefully, understand properly, because related to these two laws you can find the things in the further classes also. You will see the reactions and other uh, questions related to these laws in the further classes. Law of conservation of mass. What is the law of conservation of mass? Law of conservation of mass states that mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Means whenever a chemical reaction takes place, its mass remains same. To prove this law, we are going to do an activity here. In this activity, we have taken this conical flask. In this conical flask, we have hung this ignition tube. This ignition tube is very small tube, and what we are taking in these two, 5% solution of copper sulfate that we have named as X. In this ignition tube we have taken 5% solution of sodium carbonate that we have named Y. We have taken in this conical flask. What is the meaning of this 5%? When we say 5% solution means 5 gram of copper sulfate is mixed with 95 gram of water. In the same way, when we say 5% solution of sodium carbonate means 5 gram of sodium carbonate mixed with 95% gram of water. So after keeping these two things, and we are taking this solution X in and we are hanging this ignition tube in such a way it should not mix. These two contents should not mix together. That is why we have hanged it in with the help of this thread. Then we are putting this cork. We are fitting this cork. What is the need of to fit this cork? So that no gas can enter inside. And during the reaction, if any gas will be produced, it will also not exit out. Why we are taking this care? So that the mass remains same. Otherwise, the mass of the air which will enter be added here, and if any gas will exit out, that mass will be reduced. But we have to prove the law of conservation of mass. That is why we are putting this cork here. Now see, if we are saying what are the and then these two will be considered as reactants. What are the reactants? If we say what are the reactants, you know that suppose you are making tea or your mama is making tea. So whatever things are required for making tea, like tea leaf, sugar, water, milk, or whichever ingredient they are mixing in that, these all are the reactants. What is the product after preparing tea? What is the product? That is tea. So in the same way, whenever a reaction takes place, there are some reactants and there are some products. So during the reaction, the mass of reactants will be equal to mass of products. So when we have taken this all, both the solutions we have taken, we have put this cork, and then afterward what we will do, we will measure this flask with this content. We will see the weight, we will note down the weight of the flask, because we have to consider that whether there is change in mass or not during a reaction. Then after that we will whirl this flask. Why we are whirling it or shaking it? So that this ignition tube will turn down and its content will, that is the solution X, it will mix with solution B and the reaction will take place then. Again, after the reaction, we will measure the flask and we will find that there is no change in the mass of this flask even after the reaction. Means it proves the law of conservation of mass, which states that mass can neither be created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. In this reaction, this is the example here I have written. So what are the reactants here? The reactants are like 2H2 plus O2. These two are reactants. And what are the product here? That is 2H2O. This is the product, water. Hydrogen and oxygen are the reactants and water is the product. Students, What is this H2? This is the formula of hydrogen gas. H2 is the formula of hydrogen gas. And what is O2? This is the formula of oxygen gas. What is H2O? This is the formula of water. See which number we write here in subscript, that shows the number of atoms present in the molecule. Means in one molecule of oxygen, there are 2 atoms of oxygen. In the same way, in one molecule of hydrogen, there are 2 atoms of hydrogen. And this 2 which we have written here, this is the coefficient, it makes it like 2 molecules. 2 molecules means how many atoms will be there then? 4 atoms will be there. 2 to the 4. In the same way, the formula of water is H2O. Means in one molecule of water, there are 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. And I have written here 2 to make the valence reaction. So this 2 makes it 2 molecules of water. This is the coefficient here. And by writing it, it shows that this is the 2 molecules of water. And in these 2 molecules of water, then how many atoms of hydrogen? 4. And how many atoms of oxygen? This is 2, you can see. In the same way, when we write this mass of hydrogen, how we will prove it? We will write the mass of hydrogen and mass of oxygen, and then we will see what is the mass of reactants, what is the mass of products. Mass of hydrogen is 1 unit and mass of oxygen is 16 unit. Now we will place this mass in this reaction. See, this is 2H2. So 2 multiply mass of hydrogen is 1 unit. We will write 1 here, and then it is 2 here. This is 2. So this is a 2, 1 is 2, 2 is 4. And then plus 16 into 2, because oxygen 2 are there. So that is why it will be 16 multiply 2. This is 16 multiply 2. That is 32. And when you will add these 32 and 4, it will be 36. And when we write mass of oxygen, it is 16 unit. And you can see 2H2O means 2 multiply by hydrogen mass is 1 multiply 2. So it becomes 4 here. And then we will plus how many atoms are there, or you can say how many elements are there in a compound, you will add. So you will plus it with the oxygen, this hydrogen, mass of hydrogen, you will add with mass of oxygen. You know that it is 1 atom of oxygen, but it will also multiply by this 2, because this 2 is the coefficient for both. So you will multiply it by 2, it becomes 32. And when you are adding here 32 plus 4, 36, here also it is 34, 32 plus 4, 36. What it shows, that the mass remains conserved during a reaction. In both the cases, you have seen, in case of the reactants and in case of the products, the mass remains same. Another way of checking that whether the reaction is written balanced or not, you can see the number of atoms should be equal on both the sides. Suppose this is hydrogen. You can see how many atoms of hydrogen are there? 2 into 4. In the same way, how many atoms of oxygen are there? 2. Now let's see on product side. Hydrogen is 4 here also, and oxygen 2. Means this is again shows the law of conservation of mass. Then comes to law of constant proportion. This law was stated by Proust as, in a chemical substance, the elements are always present in definite proportion by mass. We know that in any compound, or you can say compound is made up of 2 or more elements which are present in a compound in definite proportion by mass. See how you will see whether it is present in definite proportion by mass or not. For example, we are taking a carbon dioxide. The formula of carbon dioxide is CO2. So when we write CO2 means it has one atom of carbon and it has two atoms of oxygen always. So by mass ratio, if you will find out, the mass of carbon is 12 unit always. Mass of oxygen is 16 unit. Carbon is present one atom, so you will write only 12 unit here. And then you have to find ratio, so you will put the sign of ratio here. And two atoms of oxygen means oxygen mass of oxygen is 16 unit, which you will multiply by 2. So what comes here? 12 ratio 32. Now if you will divide it by 4, 4 3s are 12 and 4 8s are 32. So whenever carbon dioxide is formed, in carbon dioxide, carbon and oxygen always present in ratio 3:8. In the same way, if we are saying water, that is H2O, it has two atoms of hydrogen, right? And one atom of oxygen. So see how the oxygen and hydrogen present in which ratio in the molecule of water, in one molecule of water. By mass ratio we will find here. We know that the mass of hydrogen is 1 unit. It will be multiplied by 2 here. Then ratio 1 atom of oxygen means only 16 unit we will write here. Then 2 ones are 2, ratio 16 means 2 ones are 2, 2 eights are 16, 1:8. So this is, you can say that hydrogen and oxygen present in water in 1:8. Now whether the water is of river, whether the water is of tap, sea, pond, ice, stream, dew, whatever, wherever you find water, its formula will remain always same, that is H2O, and it will also always consist of two atoms of hydrogen plus one atom of oxygen. That's all for today, students. I hope you all have got the topics properly. Watch video carefully. Try to understand. If any query is there, you can ask. Thank you. Have a good day.